In the words of Gene Simmons, wake up, sleepyheads. It's party time. Welcome to another episode of Father Mahoney's House of Horrors. I am your awesome host, Father Mahoney, and I'm joined once again by my good friend, horror fanatic, and wrestling fiend. Yes, I said fiend. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Cyrus Alderwood. Welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thanks, brother. I'm ready to rock and roll all night and party every day, so let's do this.
Yeah, I had to get that Gene Simmons thing in because I messaged my producer a little bit late, and I should have had it all ready for him, but I wanted to do the Gene Simmons introduction, so I was like, well, I'm going to do it better than Gene Simmons. So I hope I did Gene proud.
Nice choice. I'm a huge Kiss fan.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that. We did that a couple of episodes ago. We reviewed Trick or Treat with my friend Troy Elke, and
nice.
That was a fun episode. So how you been doing, my friend?
Just living the dream, dude. I feel like Frank the Tank from old school. Just living the dream. No, I've been busy actually. Been out of town. I've been fighting this yellow jacket invasion at my house. I felt like that kid from Home Alone trying to keep them confined to the kitchen. They're not taking the house, you know?
Yeah. Did you have any booby traps set up?
Oh, this was rough, dude. I had this huge nest outside, and they were getting in my kitchen. So in the refrigerator. So I had to go to Frankfurt and then to Cincinnati at my annual trip with a bunch of savages I call friends in Cincinnati. I wrote a book about these clowns, by the way. But I go up there, but I had to call an exterminator. No joke, man. I'm sitting there, I'm looking up at my ceiling. There's like 10 or 12 yellow jackets flying around. I grab a can of wasp spray, and I kid you not, I said, "This is Sparta," and I went to war.
So was it like that scene from The Birds where you walk in the house with all the bees swarming around?
It felt like it, dude. It was awful. I had to have the exterminator here 3 times.
Oh, damn.
I think I sort of have it underhand. Like, I haven't seen any in like 4 or 5 days. That's a good sign, right? But I'm not letting down my guard because I got to break out the Freddy claws if I see any more of these flying around. So scary stuff. I have my own horror film in the house.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like The Birds except with bees.
Yeah,
get it, birds and bees.
Ironic. But I just need a good soundtrack. That's all I need.
Yeah.
That's all I need.
So have you had any new episodes of the Gonzo Chronicles?
Actually, I just recorded one earlier today, and it's fresh out today, and you can find it on Spotify, Google Play, Podbean, Apple, iTunes, wherever you listen to your podcast. It was a cool thing. You remember how cool MTV was back in the day?
Yeah, when actually they played music?
Yes. I mean, I've harped on MTV and Rolling Stone. I've beat both of those institutions up all to hell on my podcast.
Remember when they used to play the Rollins Band?
Yeah. Yeah, liar. Come on. I'm waiting on that to pop up. I did one talking about Kurt Loder. Remember him?
Wow, Kurt Loder, yeah.
Because I saw a bunch of, I guess, millennials just busting balls on Gen X, and they're like, Kurt Loder is 78 this week. I'm like, am I supposed to be offended by this?
Yeah, I know. Huh?
Well, man, when I started watching MTV, that's okay. But I paid some tribute to Kurt Loder in the podcast today, and why MTV has failed its root audience over the years, and how I hope the same passion falls to other institutions that are culturally relevant for the younger generation. And I hope they find their own Kurt Loder. And actually, I was kind of hoping Kurt Loder would I had a book idea that I thought Kurt Loder ought to write based on the culture. And I couldn't think of a better person to address it than Kurt Loder. So if Kurt Loder's ever listening, pal, listen to the podcast. My tip of the cap to you. He was a big deal in our generation, really.
Yeah. Speaking of people who are like offended, this is going to be a little horror commentary for a second. So I'm part of a group called Halloween Fans, and these guys are like more than obsessed with Michael Myers. It's almost like they're fixated that we need another Halloween movie. I'm going to say this right now. Stop with the fucking Halloween movies. Michael Myers is like 70 years old now. He's in pieces. Leave him alone. I keep hearing, oh, they're gonna make a prequel. They're gonna make a spin-off of Part 4. Oh, they're gonna continue the Rob Zombie. It's like, stop.
Yeah, just stop.
And I did a video a couple weeks ago talking about this and how, like, remember and think someone else commented on this about the Universal monsters. You know, back in the day, they were like the coolest thing, but the only one that's kind of still going a little bit is Dracula. You don't really see Frankenstein movies. You don't see Wolfman movies. Why? Because they got stale. And this is exactly what happened with Michael Myers. I love all the Halloween movies, even the shitty ones. I will still watch because I love Michael Myers. But imagine you're a new fan of the series, and you start with Halloween 1978. Now you get to Part 3, you're confused because where's Michael Myers?
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Now we're back on 4, 5, 6. Here's Michael again. Here's Resurrection. Here's H2O. Great. Then Rob Zombie comes out, and now there's a new Halloween series.
Yeah.
Then Jamie Lee Curtis like, hey, I'm going to kill everything but Part 1. How are you supposed to explain to a new fan what the fuck is going on right now? Because you have so many different timelines, so many different realities. It's ridiculous now. Stop.
I know there are a lot of people like in independent film that want to pay tribute to it, but
yeah,
I mean, honestly, I think people need to understand, stop messing with perfection. It's like trying to remake The Exorcist. Why would you do that? You know,
yes.
But the same thing with the Halloween franchise. It's an amazing franchise.
Yes.
With some of the best scoring and music, you know.
Exactly.
The best directing. I mean, you don't even have to have bloodshed to give you the creeps. It's just like, you know, Michael Myers with the tilt of the head. You know what I mean? It's just those things. You cannot recreate those. And that's one thing that frustrates me.
Especially in today's society, because everything is so fucking woke now.
Yeah.
You think they could have got away with half of these movies now, back in the day?
Yeah.
No.
I don't need a transgender Michael Myers. You know what I mean? Like, honestly, I don't need a cross-dressing Michael Myers. But yeah, the thing is, I think, and you and I have talked about this kind of off camera at times, and on my show, that there's a lack of real creativity in Hollywood where they're starting to reinvent things. And I noticed back in the early 2000s when I started seeing like the remake of like a movie of Dukes of Hazzard and Witched, it's like Hollywood is in trouble. When I started, like, that should have been like the late warning signs, but like a lot of people, that was the early warning signs.
Yeah,
like, they're in trouble because there's nothing new under the sun. Honestly, there's really not, and some of the most creative stuff is coming from the independent film sector, but they don't have the funding because Hollywood's not going to give it to them.
Yeah,
and they want the creative rights to everything, and then they sort of want to mess it up. And
I totally agree. I totally agree because it's like, where are the ingenious minds to build something new? They want to take an old movie, recreate it, make it their own, and tell people, "Oh, hey, this is a new movie." Because today's society, and I hate to pounce on today's society, but these younger horror fans don't ever go back and look at the movies that paved the way for it. So when they see something like when Psycho came out, when the remake of Psycho,
it
was basically word for word from the first one.
Then why do it?
Yeah, why do it? Like, oh, so you can create, because he's more modern and people can relate to him instead of Anthony Perkins. It's like, no, like you cannot fuck with a mind like Anthony Perkins. I'm sorry, like
that guy nailed that role. That guy is forever Psycho. I mean, you cannot. There's no actor out there, living or dead, that could do that role the way Anthony Perkins did that role.
Yeah.
So why do it? And I think a lot of people that are, and I really wish more independent filmmakers would do this, but I know some that do. But I wish there were more students of classic film. I mean, old black and white Bela Lugosi. Let's go back and do some Lon Chaney and Lon Chaney Jr. I mean, because you talked about the staleness of like the Mummy and the Wolfman. those things can be recreated for a new generation.
Yes.
They just lack the people that are doing it. Hollywood's not going to do anything. They're going to cover it up with CGI and technology, right? But they're not going to have the story that a new generation needs to hear, because it's not about just special effects, and you know that. It's about story.
Yeah.
It's about, are you connecting with an audience at a personal sort of level, even in horror films. I mean, horror films really got started because, well, the heyday of it in the 70s, right? And the 60s was, we were all scared. I mean, we were all scared of the atomic bomb, even in the 80s.
Yeah.
And you go to the movies to get a good scare, because I'm not afraid of Jason Voorhees hacking me up or Freddy Krueger, but there are bigger fish out there. And that's a good, safe scare,
Yeah.
But I think we have different things to be afraid of. We have different boogeymen in the real world today.
Yes.
And the right writer and the right visionary in film, and it's going to come out of independent film. It's not going to come out of Hollywood. They're going to eventually, at some point, tap into this, and it's going to be great when they do. So I'm trying to be positive about it, but because there's some really great people doing short independent film on YouTube and Rumble and other venues. But they're very wildly creative people, but they just need funding. They need to be left alone to do what they need to do.
Oh, I agree. Like we were talking backstage about the girl. We're gonna just do this right now. The girl that we want to give a shout out to. Go ahead.
Yeah, Jennifer Nangle, Queen Malvolia. The Scream Queen, Queen Malvolia. Jen Nangle does an amazing job. I follow her on Instagram. I follow her on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I follow her also on YouTube, because the short clips that she does and puts on YouTube, wildly creative. And there are not a lot of women doing what she's doing.
No,
and it's probably very tough to kick in a door, even in 2023, which you think is like, how the hell has this not happened yet? But
and she doesn't get enough credit either. Like, I always hear a lot of other names pop up. I'm not going to name drop, but I've known Jen for a few years now. In fact, the old network that we were all part of before, she was my guest 2 episodes after you did it, and that was a highly watched episode. And I tell you, ever since that, I've been involved in a lot of her projects. I did the last 2 seasons of Malvolia, the Queen of Screams online series, amazing series. And then she obviously is doing Body Count right now, which I know she made her finishing funds, which is awesome. Mr. Producer, do you have that clip that I sent to you of the teaser trailer?
I will pull it up here in a minute.
Okay. So yeah, go till he's doing. What else did you want to say?
She had several short clips on her page, Malvolia, Queen of Screams, and I've watched a lot of these, and the Killing Field was one of them. I think that was really interesting. Victor, I mean, she's. But if I was a wealthy man, I would probably fund, because she doesn't. It's not expensive to make some of her stuff. She's looking for $3,000 to $5,000 per project.
Yeah. She never goes out and says, "Hey, I want 30,000." She always keeps it to where people can afford things.
Yeah.
And you don't see that a lot in the independent scene anymore.
But, if she did ask for 30,000 for a film, seeing her work, I would not doubt that she would turn out something really good.
Yeah, if she ever did say, "Hey, I'm gonna go all out and make something super amazing," I'm gonna ask for 30,000. I could see a lot of people supporting her, because she's very. Even though her presentation as Malvolia is I'm the queen, you get a bow to me, but behind the scenes, she's the sweetest person, and she helps a lot of people. So
she seemed really, she was one of my more downloaded shows too, and she was very genuine.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'll shut up. Play the clip.
Look out!
Yeah, and you can tell with what she does. Like, you can only do so much with the money you have available, and that
Yeah,
she does
that's
absolutely the
that's
best.
just a teaser right there. So
She does the best she can do, but it's her storytelling. It's really the story behind that you see that really comes through. I think, and as an actor, she does pretty darn good. And but yeah, it's the story that makes the rest of it work. So if you had a crappy story, you have a crappy film. But like
yeah,
everything that she does is like good quality storytelling. So yeah, kudos to her. Like that's one of the people in the independent film that I think is I wish would have that opportunity for the funding and because I think you could probably expect some good things and something new and creative in the horror front that maybe we sort of haven't seen yet in a way.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, she's definitely on my list of people to contact for future shows. So if you're watching, Jen, I'm popping the question right now. So
Well, you're popping the question.
yeah, I'm popping, and it's not marriage because I've already been there and done that. So
Well, she is hot.
she
Anyway,
is.
but no, but good, great work. So I mean, if you don't follow her on YouTube, folks, if you're a horror fan, go jump on there and check out some of her work. So.
Yeah. So the show we're going to do today, we're going to do a couple different things today. We're going to talk about Carrie 1976, and we're going to talk about Pet Sematary 1981. But first, before we do that, I want to talk about a couple people that we have lost in the past week. We're going to start with one of my all-time favorite, Terry Funk. My God, what can you say about terrible Terry Funk? I mean, 5 generations of wrestling. I found out the last time he actually participated in a wrestling show was early 2012. So that would make almost 50 years involved in the industry. That's incredible. Like, how many people can you say that was still kind of active for 50 years?
Terry Funk and Ric Flair, and that is about the end of that list.
Yeah, that's about the end of the list. And I watched that WWE did a tribute to Terry Funk. And Jerry Lawler actually went on record and say he is the greatest star in wrestling of all time. That's big words coming from Jerry Lawler. So what do you have to talk? What are your memories of Terry Funk?
Hardcore matches. I mean, when you think about like I don't know the last 20 years or so, and you had that Attitude Era. There probably would have been an Attitude Era if there wasn't guys like Terry Funk doing what they did in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah,
quite literally. Because when I was a kid and I watched it, it was mostly like Four Horsemen stuff, TBS, but then Terry Funk popped up here and there, and that guy. I guess when you talk about whoever the greats were in the industry, that guy worked with every single one of them.
yeah,
And be able to, and not just worked with them, but I mean he was a man in and of himself. Kind of an icon in that business. And if you watch those shows on Vice, Dark Side of the Ring, he probably brushed up against every one of those bad episodes. Just from the people he worked with, and one of I can't not mention this Roadhouse.
Yes.
Terry Funk and jumping into Hollywood and doing Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze. That was a great character. It was the fact that the guy was a good actor, but a lot of wrestling talents that actually can work the mic. It's no wonder they make great actors.
Yes, and also he was in Over the Top with Stallone.
That's right. I forgot about that.
He played the rich guy's like bodyguard.
Yeah.
He's like, Mr. Cutler is not done talking to you. He's like, I'm done talking. And he like pushes him right through like the screen door.
Yeah. I forgot
he doesn't have a lot of lines in Over the Top. I think he only has like 2 lines, but yeah, I mean, he just has one of those presentations that you kind of like latch yourself to. Like luckily I did get to see him once when he was with ECW, and it was a match between him and Tommy Dreamer, and it was a hardcore anything goes match. Which, I mean, in all fairness, ECW everything was no holds barred. But
yeah, the Kurt
yeah,
Jerker match was a
yeah.
no holds barred.
I mean, they had barbed wire, they had thumbtacks, they had. It was crazy. I thought they were going to break out the exploding death match at some point.
I know. Yeah, like the pre-match before the show started was a machete match. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But between Terry Funk, between him and Roddy Piper, I cannot think of two more people in wrestling that deserved a lot more shots in movies.
Yeah. Well, no, I agree, and without a guy like Terry Funk, we don't have a guy named Mick Foley.
True.
So, Mick Foley basically kind of carried the torch after Terry couldn't do it much longer. I mean, Terry was still active because they were a tag team. A lot of people forget about that, but by that point, they were like just kind of honoring Funk at that point because. You could see he was slowing down, but this guy revolutionized ECW. When ECW was a real small company trying to grow, Paul Heyman took a chance on bringing him in because he was like 45 when he started ECW, and man, he put on some matches. The one that sticks out the most is the barbed wire anything goes match with Sabu. I've never seen so much blood in my life. And this is a guy who's 40. I think he was like 47 at the time when he wrestled Sabu. And he used to always have that one phrase, middle-aged and crazy, which I am now, by the way. So I can kind of relate to you, Terry, now. But back then, like I would hear that all the time. And I said to myself when I saw that match, he is fucking middle-aged and crazy. So.
Yeah, he was certainly a force in the business, and he was one of those people on the edge, like the fringe of anything. They move the needle, and he was that guy.
Yeah,
he was that guy at the right. Like I said, him and Flair are the only guys that lasted that long, but you would never see somebody like Ric Flair doing the stuff that he did. No way.
No. I think Ric Flair, and if I remember, he only had like one hardcore match in WCW, and that was against Raven. I remember he fought Raven one time because Raven used to have Raven's rules, so you had to fight Raven's way.
Yeah,
but
I remember that. Yeah, Raven.
Yeah, but
very Saturn.
But it wasn't. Yeah, but it wasn't really like a hard because WCW didn't promote that hardcore style like ECW did. So. But Terry Funk, even Ric Flair, he was on that video package that WWE put together and he goes, I learned a lot in my life from that man. So we're going to miss you, Terry. So.
Yeah, and we lost another.
Yeah, we lost another Mr. Bray Wyatt. I mentioned earlier, The Fiend. Bray, he's another product of Terry Funk if you think about it. Because he had that roughneck style, I should say, and Bray was, man, did he come out of nowhere? Like I remember watching WWE when Bray first broke in, and they would show those vignettes of the guys in the woods, and you see like a guy in a rocking chair, and I kept like saying like, what's going on with this? And then finally they had one of the reporters who was allowed to go inside the Wyatt compound. And I was like, what this is like a fucking horror movie. You got a guy wearing a fucking mask, and this one guy who looks like the redneck from hell. And then you got this guy swinging back and forth in a wheelchair. And I'm like, this is fucked up. But every week it just grew and grew, and I was so intrigued by this character.
Yeah, he was. He was 36, right?
36 years old and a heart attack. They say they now say it was a heart attack.
He was creative enough and charismatic enough that and I don't know if anybody ever could do this, but if anybody could have picked up the pail that the Undertaker set down, it would have been this guy.
Well, that's funny you said that because last year, Bray Wyatt interrupted a promo by a guy named LA Knight, and Undertaker came out, and everybody was surprised that it was the Undertaker. And then Bray Wyatt came down because he was having the feud with LA Knight. Undertaker kind of like scared LA Knight into going backwards, and of course ran into Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt did his finishing move, and Undertaker walked up to Bray Wyatt, and I thought they were going to fight. He leaned over and whispered something into his ear. Now they tried to ask Bray Wyatt a couple of weeks later, what did Undertaker say to you? And he said, I can't say anything. I told Undertaker I wouldn't say anything. I think it was a passing of the torch. Because at that point, Undertaker, at that point, Undertaker had already had his retirement match with AJ Styles. I think he hadn't wrestled in 2 years at that point, and he just said, "I have great respect for the Undertaker." So I think it was like him saying, like, "You're the new face of evil now," basically.
Yeah. Take the dark side and run with it, and but I guess you hate to hear about people dying at such a young age, and the guy left a wife and kids, and we watch this stuff, and I guess we talk a lot about in pop culture, whether it's movies or pro wrestling or sports, and teams we hate, teams we love, but then you never really wish anybody, characters you like and characters you hate. You never wish ill on anybody. These are human beings with families and feelings, and you hate that. But like, he had such a pedigree in the business, and so it's like he was probably like third generation wrestler too, right?
Think about it. His dad was Mike Rotundo.
Yeah.
His uncle was Barry Windham.
Of the Four Horsemen, right?
Yeah, so, and then his dad was his grandfather was Blackjack Mulligan.
Blackjack Mulligan, yeah. These are like big characters in wrestling, going from like, these are top tier people from the 70s and 80s. All of us like Gen Xers that watch this stuff growing up on Saturday afternoons and Saturday mornings. These are their families. This is what they do.
Yeah. And it was said that Mike Rotundo was the one that called Triple H, and Triple H made the Twitter post. And I kept saying to myself, it had to be like he had to get hacked. This ain't true. Because I'm saying to myself, he's 36. Like, he can't die. But the sad reality in life is, treasure what you have while you have it, guys.
Yeah.
Man, I'm gonna miss that guy. Like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, if that's not a wake up call for any of us, like, we're not guaranteed tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought about that. Like, when I heard that, the first thing I thought about was that guy during the Bengals Buffalo Bills game.
Yeah.
He died on the field. They had to revive him twice.
Yeah.
And he's 23. It's like, folks, man, like, we don't know about tomorrow. None of us do. Yesterday's dead and doesn't exist. Tomorrow's not here yet. No, that doesn't exist. The only thing any of us have is right here, right now.
Yeah, I agree.
I think if more people thought about that, we'd probably live in a better world. I don't know. Yeah. Just my random thought here. My beer thought.
Yeah. No, I totally agree with your sentiments, and I just watched a video of a bunch of current and past wrestlers paying their homage, and every single one of them said the same thing. It reminded me of Eddie Guerrero when everybody would talk about what a family man Eddie was. He was a family man. He has 2 kids that are going to grow up without a dad now. And it's, God, my heartfelt sentiments go out to that family.
Yeah, because that's like a long lineage, too, of people who not just entertained here, but down in Mexico. And then, I mean, that was their dream, to come to America and entertaining. And they did.
His wife tried to be a wrestler. She was on that show, and not NXT. It was like the show that tried to build you into a wrestler. And her name was JoJo, and now she was a ring announcer for a while, but I think she couldn't do either one. So I think she did like a lot of promoting, like for wrestlers, and so God, I feel for her right now. It's like, wow, it's hard to even like put into words sometimes because
Yeah.
it still really hasn't even fully sunk in about Terry or Bray. So
But you know what though? To these guys, the show must go on, and they were the ultimate showman.
yeah,
And like it was so like they would get pissed if somebody stopped the show for their sake. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I remember like this is just on a side note, and I sort of in a way know how they feel, but it's like the show has to go on. It's kind of like after Owen Hart died, and
yeah,
he would have been like, just keep going. Everybody was like pissed all over WWE for and I thought they probably should have stopped the show, but like Owen Hart would have been like, no, you don't.
yeah.
Everybody came out to be
Yeah,
entertained,
like
and
I said that as fans, we were all probably saying, "Why didn't they stop the show?" But we're not in their shoes either. We're not entertainers, and I do hear that saying, "The show must go on." And
yeah,
yeah, I think you're right. I think Owen would have been like pissed off if like he was looking down and they just like they sent everybody home, and
yeah.
so
Yeah, I got invited to do a radio show one time. This was literally like days after I buried my sister. And they're like, "Oh, I didn't know we could have canceled." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? You asked me to come in here and talk about my books. My sister would slap the taste out of my mouth if I didn't." You know what I mean? She was here
yeah,
and I didn't take the opportunity. But like sort of have to look at it that way. And I sort of understand that. And I know it probably had to hurt all the people who come out and had to perform after.
yeah,
Because how do you but but at the same time, those are the same people, and we don't think about it as fans watching it, but those are the same people who help those fans heal from what they just saw.
yeah,
And they're forever going to be kind of tied into that psyche of those people who witnessed something tragic. And the same
yeah,
thing with Bray Wyatt and Terry Funk, and the show's going to go on, and you know what? Somebody's going to tune into that other AEW, and they're going
yeah.
to see a hardcore match, and you're like, you know what? Terry Funk would have been proud of that.
Yeah, and I know AEW did some tributes on their pay per view, which was nice. Malachi Black, who was I forget who his character name in the WWE was,
Yeah.
but he has a posse of 3 people. He walked down the ring with a lantern, which I thought that was awesome.
Oh, did he? So I missed all that, and I don't watch
Yeah,
a lot of WWE these days, but I sort of I had to go back and watch on YouTube some of the tribute stuff, and but it's really touching to see that, and like at the end of the day, these people they try to take care of each other in the ring. They try to entertain a bunch of people
yeah,
so that we can watch a violent soap opera, so that we don't have to go live it out on a battlefield somewhere else in real life.
exactly. And on my YouTube channel, I did my own personal tribute to Bray Wyatt. I dimmed the lights and I had like a light behind me, so it kind of looked like a lantern. And I sang, "He's got the whole world in his hands."
Did you scare
Yeah,
yourself?
I did actually. So I think Bray Wyatt accomplished that. He made me scared of something.
I did. I
But
did tune in last night, and I saw a lot of people. I guess sort of half-ass paying tribute because it's a different company, but like they still respected the people. And man, there's some, I don't know, just it's kind of touching to see
yeah, yeah,
how people care across companies and across. I know it's competitive and it's all that, but it's still kind of cool to see. Even like the lady wrestlers, female wrestlers are out there doing
yeah.
that.
Yeah, I think Becky Lynch, after she won her match, what you didn't see on air, I guess she was talking to the fans during commercial, and she had a Bray Wyatt. What are they like the wristbands? She had a Bray Wyatt wristband on,
It's
and
nice.
she talked about Bray during the commercial, and the fans started singing, "He's got the whole world in his hands."
So
And she goes, "You're damn right," and he still does. He still has us in his hands.
what do we have to do to get Queen Malvolio in the ring? That's what
maybe she could do like Mrs. Wyatt. She could be Mrs.
out there
Wyatt.
with the House of Black. I mean, like she could be the new escort down to the ring. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying.
I know. I see where you're going with that.
She's a hottie. She can pull it off. I'm just saying. Great actress. Scare the piss out of everybody. I'm just throwing it out
Yeah.
there, Malvolio. Who owns the AEW? Contact them. Email. Have your agent email.
Yeah, exactly. Just find her on Facebook and message her. But we have one more person to talk about before we get in the movies, and that's Bob Barker. I mean, geez, what can you say about the man who pretty much is the game show icon? I'm going to say it right now. He is the game show icon.
Gone way too soon. I mean, he was like, what, 99? I mean, so young.
So young. Now, did you guys see the funny memes? I know I hate to bring up memes on this, but like, Bob Barker was a guy who like entertained me when I stayed home sick from school.
I said that before you got on the air, or before we went on the air. I said that same thing to Aaron.
The guy, 99 years old and some change, and he didn't break $1. Like how? Like he didn't break the $1. It's like that's how cool was that? You know, you can't break the $1 on the wheel.
Even with Drew Carrie respected that, and he's kept that around. I mean, by now there should be like $1,000 space or.
See, a lot of things, but you know, some of the guys like that, we kind of laugh and jest about it. But you know, he was very entertaining. He was on that show for a long time. I know he kind of had some controversy because of like some of the babes that were on the show and you know affairs, alleged affairs. But you know what? That guy did so much charitable work.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And people forget about that. Like, there's certain people in, like, Hollywood and whatever, we love to hate them, you know, sometimes. But some of those people do a lot of good. And you just look at the real people behind the scenes. But he did a ton of charity work. And he did a lot for, like, children's causes. Just all kinds of stuff. So,
people forget he was in that movie with Adam Sandler.
I know. Beat his ass, didn't he?
Yeah, that was one of the best fighting scenes in history of movie making.
Oh, it's the classic scene, a movie scene you never forget.
Yeah,
Bob Barker.
I like you guys. I can't believe you're a professional golfer. I think you should be working the snack bar.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I actually just posted a GIF on my Facebook of him just keep punching Adam Sandler.
That is so funny.
And it was actually a kind of a believable scene too. Like it didn't. I mean, yeah, obviously it's staged, but I mean the punches look pretty real. Adam like getting his ass kicked looked pretty real, and I like when he like rolls down the hill. He headbutts Bob. He goes, "The price is wrong, bitch." And then Bob Barker knocks him out again. And he goes, "Had enough?" And he kicks him again. No, now you had enough.
and the camera angle. Where you just keep the punches coming in. It's beautiful. It was awesome, man. But that was so funny. And he was and what a sport to go out and do that. You know what I mean? He didn't have to age 80, but he did.
I found a video of him talking about that role, and he said when the fight scene was about to start, they said, "Okay, we're gonna bring in your stunt double." He goes, "No, I don't want no stunt double." So he did that whole scene, except he did say the rolling was a stunt double, but he did all that. All the rest of it was him.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so like kudos to that guy, and I will actually say kudos to Drew Carey for carrying on the show and keeping it pretty to the same that Bob Barker ran it.
Yeah.
Because I was afraid when the new host took over, kind of like what's his name from the Family Feud, he changed that show altogether.
Yeah, and I guess we're gonna have a new one with Pat Sajak and Vanna White retiring. We got Seacrest in, and
oh, Jesus.
I don't know. I think the guy who took over for the guy on Jeopardy is doing a good job.
Yeah,
I you know, it's okay. I like that, but it's yeah, and it's so hard after you've kind of grew up with something. It's like Johnny Carson.
Yes.
You know, we were kids. Like
I totally agree with this statement. Johnny Carson will still always be my favorite talk show host.
He's the king of late night. And I feel bad for generations that come after us that didn't get to see him because, I mean, he was the guy who could rip on politics equally and not piss anybody off.
Yeah, and he was sharp and quick too with the jokes.
Oh yeah, and then anybody that come after, it's like they seem so mean and partisan.
Yeah,
Johnny was like Johnny Carson was a guy who just pulled it off right. Kind of like Bob Barker pulled it off right.
Yeah.
You know, and kind of like, these characters we talk about in wrestling, sort of, they hit that niche, man. They hit that spot that you can't put words on, but man, they owned it. And it's amazing to see when people are like that in their career.
Yeah.
And they're so entertaining. And a part like, we're Gen Xers, right? But like, I look at Bob Barker like Gen Xer.
Yeah.
Because 98, 99 years old. But it's still like that guy was, as a part of our childhood, man. We grew up with this cat, and I'm glad he had a sense of humor with that movie with Adam Sandler.
Oh yeah, he had a great sense of humor, and we're gonna miss him.
Good taste in women on his show.
True, this is true.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, Drew Carey. Call up Jen Angle too. There you go.
Wow, no, everyone should call him Jen Angle. I kind of like teased her like a little post on Facebook earlier to give her a shout out, but I don't think she had thought we'd like hit on her.
She liked my comment in your comment, by the way.
Yeah, she seems like a good soul. So and wildly talented, wildly creative. So kudos to her, man.
So, Mr. Producer, do we have a clip for? Let's do Carrie first.
While you're doing that, guy, I'm gonna mute my and I'm gonna go grab a fresh drink. Is that cool with you? I'll be back.
A fresh beverage.
I'm back in 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Okay. So we could probably run that video if you have that while he's gone, or you can come join me if you want.
Yeah, I'm pulling it up. The Carrie trailer.
Yeah, well, we can. You want to wait till he gets back, or just run it?
Yeah. We'll wait until he gets back.
So, yeah, I got some numbers on Carrie when we get back too. I did a little homework, like Travis.
Good deal.
Yeah,
it was sad. I'll say a couple of things about these people. Like I wasn't really into wrestling when Bray Wyatt was, a thing, and the Fiend and all that. But Terry Funk, I know what he did and his legacy.
Well, yeah, he's Texas. He's Texas, baby.
Yeah, I mean, I watched Dark Side of the Ring, not Dark Side of the Ring. What was it? Beyond the Mat.
Beyond the Mat
documentary. If no one's checked that out, check it out, because that really shows you Terry Funk, and it shows you the beginnings of ECW. So it's real fun, real great documentary. And of course the Bob Barker thing, everybody grew up watching him. You were saying, like, anybody, your age and older, and then my age, I think it stopped where we saw Bob Barker. You know what I mean? He stayed home. So people my age know who he is, but like, anybody younger than me, I don't think really knows who Bob Barker is, or if they did, they saw it. Oh, that's the guy that was on Happy Gilmore,
Yeah.
But I got the trailer. I just wanted to say those words while we're waiting on our guest here. So I'll pull up the trailer.
Here we go.
It's the night of the senior prom. The Bates High School gym is alive with excitement. Everybody is there, even Carrie White, the girl no one likes.
Oh, sorry about this incident, Cassie.
It's Carrie!
And everyone makes fun of her. The girl who lives in that creepy house with her crazy mother.
Help the sinning woman see the sin of her days and ways. Joe, if she had remained sinless, the curse of blood would never have come on her.
The girl with the strange power.
If I concentrate hard enough, I can move things.
But tonight, no one will laugh at Carrie.
You don't have a date for the prom next Friday. Would you like to go with me?
She's with the best-looking boy in the senior class.
He's trying to trick me.
She'll be voted queen of the prom.
You know, I can make sure that you don't hurt Carrie.
For Carrie, it will be a dream come true. For everyone else, it will be a nightmare. Carrie. A new film by Brian De Palma. Based on the chilling bestseller. Starring Sissy Spacek, Piper Laurie, and introducing John Travolta in his first motion picture role. If you have a taste for terror, you have a date with Carrie.
Oh, so before I break into Carrie, so I put a poll up on the Horror Forever group I run, and I put 5 Steven Spielberg movies because we did 2 last time. So I put this movie, I put Pet Sematary, I put Misery, I put Firestarter, and I put Maximum Overdrive. And I said the top 2 will be our next topic. And this one was the faraway winner, and then Pet Sematary actually beat out Misery, which I was shocked. But we'll get to Pet Sematary in a second. Let's talk a little bit about Carrie. So, what were your first impressions about Carrie?
Man, this movie actually freaked me out when I saw this. I was young when I saw it, but you know what? I guess when I've watched it when I was older, it still had the same visceral type of effect. It was a great movie. It was the book was a little different than the movie, but Stephen King always bitched about that with his movies that were made in books that were made into movies. But yeah, man, it really sort of opened your eyes to like the rabid, like crazy fundamentalism. I mean, this is coming like right after Jonestown, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this is he really hits a I don't know, man, a cultural nerve with this story. And he hated the book, like when he wrote it. I don't know if you guys knew that, but he didn't like the story and he wanted to pull it off. And like he threw it in the trash after sending it to a bunch of people.
Wow.
And his wife sent it to one more that accepted it. After like that was the 100th or some publishers. But yeah, the movie was pretty intense. I mean, it really highlights a lot of school bullying before we heard that song Jeremy in the 90s from Pearl Jam and Columbine. It was like this is like Columbine 20 years earlier.
Yeah, and like what you just said, I'm gonna say again, bullying is basically what this movie is. Everybody thinks it's a movie about a girl with telekinesis. That's kind of more of the backstory to me. The main topic is how she gets made fun of, how she gets bullied, like we all did in school. Like I got bullied in school, and it's a girl's revenge towards that.
Yeah,
because she has the telekinesis, she uses that to her advantage. But to me, this movie is not about her powers; it's about how she's treated. Because I don't think she would ever use these powers if she had been treated right. Look at the whole dance scene. Not once did she have any intrigue to do anything because she was having the time of her life.
Yeah.
This was her moment, and I rewatched it today, and I literally cried because like there's a scene where she has this like face like she's in total bliss.
Yeah.
And to know like what happens later, I literally was starting to cry before it happened because I'm like, how the fuck can you do this to a girl who wants to just be like everyone else?
Just wants to fit in. And it was so interesting because, I mean, I think a lot of people in the movies miss a lot of the really deep themes that come through the books, through the storytelling.
Yeah.
But I think this particular movie, like, it hit it enough that you noticed it. You know what I mean? The bullying.
Yeah.
Part. And she went, like you said, from extreme bliss to like ultimate humiliation. And it was like that scene back in the locker room when she was menstruating.
Yeah.
And everyone
Like, they're making fun of her because she didn't know what was going on.
Yeah.
But then you tail off to her home life, and you kind of understand why she didn't know basic things. I mean, Piper Laurie is freaking amazing in this movie. Sissy Spacek always gets a lot of praise, but give it up for Piper Laurie. Like, she plays the crazy mom better than I think I've ever seen anybody play it.
Yeah, I don't think anybody could have hit that role like she hit that role.
Yeah. And before we go into any more details, I do have numbers here. It had a budget of 1.8 million, and it grossed 33.8 million. For back then, that was a high success. So, I think people could relate to Carrie in a way, because even though she's almost kind of portrayed as the bad person, she's the victim here. And I think people could relate to that, because, like I said, we've all been to school. We've all been either bullied or seen bullying going on, and I think we could all relate to like what Carrie was going through.
Yeah. Now, as far as the story, like, me, I'm a nerd. Like, I know like weird trivia about some of these movies.
Yeah.
But Stephen King, do you know where he got the idea for this book?
His own trauma.
That was part of it. Yeah, he was bullied a lot. But he's and I remember seeing an interview with him on YouTube where he said he got the idea for this. He was working at like this industrial laundry, and some of the characters that were in the book were actually inspired by people that he worked with.
Oh, wow.
And there was like a really peculiar girl who came from this odd family. Her mother wasn't like really religious or anything like the mom and Carrie.
Yeah.
She was still a bit of a nut. And she would do all those sweepstakes magazines and all that crap. You remember all that stuff that was going around in the 80s?
Yeah.
Oh, she was big into that. And this poor girl that I think part of it was like there were a couple of girls he based Carrie on. But this one particular girl who had that weird mother, she only had like one or two changes of clothes for the entire school year. And all the other kids used to bully her and make fun of her. And of course, he got bullied and made fun of a lot too. And he actually, the original title for this book was called Cavalier. And
oh, really?
Yeah, and it was he named it after the hotel that what was this? Chris and Billy in the movie. Well, they were hiding out at this hotel while Carrie was hunting them down, and it was the Hotel Cavalier. And he named it Cavalier. He said because of the attitudes that the bullies had while they tormented other kids.
Yeah.
And he wasn't real pleased with the book because this was his first book ever, and he wasn't real pleased with it, so he shelved it and he started writing his second book, which was Salem's Lot. And his wife found a publisher for Carrie, and then the movie took off. So first book, first movie. He hit a theme. I mean, he hit themes so hard culturally right out of the, which. Whether you like his books or you don't like his books, that tells you this cat had a beat on the culture. And Hollywood noticed it, and everybody else noticed it because they were flocking to his movies through the 80s.
I mean, how many Stephen King movies, I'd like to find that out. How many Stephen King movies end up becoming either a short story or a full-length movie? It gotta be over 30.
It might be over 30. It might be. I mean, some of my favorite movies from the 80s that are in that genre are based on Stephen King books, like Salem's Lot.
Yeah.
My favorite movies. And Pet Sematary coming up that we're going to talk about. One of my favorite movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, man, give it up to whoever, I don't know if it was Brian De Palma or whoever was recruiting people, but, man, they found a young Sissy Spacek, and look at what she's done for her career after this. I mean, Cece Spacek nails this role of Carrie. You feel her emotions, you feel her pain, and like I said, you feel her bliss. Every scene, every reaction she has, it's like she sells it to you on that screen, and you feel every emotion she goes through. So,
well, De Palma did such a good book that Stephen King. I mean, it took him a long time once he kind of accepted. The frustration of the movie industry, and then his book he didn't like initially. He said that the movie was much better than his book. And honestly, I have to agree. I've read the book. I've seen the movie. Seldom can you say that, but De Palma did an amazing job, like I said.
But you also you have to give it up for like I said, the other actors like Piper Laurie. You have to give it up for I wrote down some of the name. PJ Souls, who appears in Halloween. She's Norma, the ditzy one that wouldn't back up Sue when Sue was being belligerent with the coach.
Oh, you want to hear the one of the really weird piece of trivia? And probably a lot of people know this, but on this movie, Carrie, Stephen King, everybody knew who the hell he was. And on the credits, when they spelled his name, they spelled it Steven. They spelled his name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, it's like you had this great movie, and we're going to screw up your name, pal. Thanks.
Well, Facebook did that to me today when I was promoting this. I reread it, and I was like, God damn it, they put BEN. So I had to go over all my posts, edit them, and I'm like, PHEN. It's not BEN. Who else did I write down? Okay. Oh, there's another small appearance by another person that makes an appearance in another horror movie in the 80s. Is Sue's mother is Priscilla Pointer, who played in Dream Warriors as the doctor, the one that was the mean doctor.
Yeah, okay, all right.
Yeah. I rewatched it today, and I kept saying, I'm like, gosh, she looks familiar. And so I was like, I did some research on her, and I was like, that's right, she was that bitch nurse, the bitch doctor at the when Kristen was there, and she put what's his name, Ken Sages in the quiet room.
Was she Nurse Ratched?
Yeah, she was like the Nurse Ratched in she was that Ratched in the Dream Warriors. Yeah.
Okay, she was like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Same.
No, it was that was the one that played in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That was Louise.
So we're okay. All right, so they're different. Okay.
Yeah, but it was like the same kind of character she played in Dream Warriors. She played like the Nurse Ratched, like you're gonna do things my way or else, and she would always put people in the quiet room. I sedate them like 50 pounds of Thorazine, and I'm like, God, it's enough to kill a cow. So I thought that was a pretty. Oh, and we didn't talk about Mr. Travolta yet. So this was John Travolta's first movie, and look at what a career he started because of Carrie. You know,
I know he burned up in the car, man. It's a different kind of Saturday Night Fever than we were used to. Huh?
Yeah, but you can. Yeah, he still has that same accent though, like today from that first role.
Kind of like Kevin Bacon with Friday the 13th, man. He got his role. He got his career started off in something creepy, and
we should do a movie. We should do a show like that, like famous actors that start off in horror. Tom Hanks.
Yeah.
He knows you're alone. A lot of people don't realize some of these guys and actresses came from horror.
George from Seinfeld.
Yeah.
He was in that horror movie simply because he was hungry and wanted a sandwich, and showed up for an extra on the set.
Well, Matthew McConaughey, even though it was a shitty Leatherface, but it was Texas Chainsaw 4. But I will say the only savoring factor of Part 4 was Matthew McConaughey's role.
Yeah, that's true.
You could see he was having a lot of fun with that character.
Yeah,
Vilmer. Vilmer's his name. Yeah.
Have you ever? Speaking of McConaughey, he has a book out called Green Lights, and I listened to it on Audible. Man, that kid had an interesting life story. And he talks about his movie career and like so nonchalantly. That guy's truly living the dream, man. He's just living the best life he can. But if you haven't listened to that book, man, anybody should check that out, man. If you're a fan of his from the Chainsaw remake, so.
Hey, Mr. Producer, I'd like to ask you about your thoughts of Carrie quickly before we do some scores.
The first time I was introduced to that movie, I guess someone had recorded it off a TV, so I didn't get the full effect of it. Not
Yeah,
until
like the AMC version. Yeah.
yeah, I got it like, one of those Halloween things, which is awesome because it's almost that time of year. I can't wait for September to go like that, because October, I love it. But yeah, that was my first exposure to the movie. And then really, like I said, when I got older and I started renting these movies, then I got to see the full, effect of it, everything in the movie that they cut out for TV. So no, I really enjoy it, and like you said, it's a bullying movie, and it's it's crazy how they had all these great actors in there, and I think it just made the film. It really did, especially Sissy Spacek with her crazy eyes and everything.
Yes.
It was really, really
I'm
cool.
I'm glad you pointed that out. It's a crazy eye look. Yes.
Yes, and anything I saw her in after this, it was like I kept seeing her as the psycho girl. Carrie.
Man, it's hard to look at actresses or actors after they played some crazy bastard or something.
Well, especially they did really well at it. Like, especially if they did the part really well, then that's all you see him as. Unfortunately, but I mean, that's what it is.
I was waiting on seeing Christian Bale playing Batman to throw a chainsaw at a hooker. Like that. I mean, that was a powerful movie too. Wasn't it? American Psycho.
Yes.
I recently. Oh man, I'll tell you what, Father. If you do a show on that, I would love to be a part of it, because I just listened to the book on it and I just rewatched
American Psycho.
Yes.
Well, consider it done, because I love that movie.
Oh, dude, the book is great. But it with the movie, of course, there's certain things that the book has that the movie doesn't have. But tell you what, pretty damn close. It was not that bad.
Have you ever listened to Huey Lewis in the news the same again?
No.
No. Every time I hear him to be a square, I just think of him with that blood all over him.
It's a studio. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. Dude, the one where he tortures the chicks and he's sitting there listening to Whitney Houston, and they were making fun of him. He's like, "This is the greatest song that she's ever done." And all
you know what?
You listen to freaking Whitney Houston.
A little known fact about Father Mahoney is, before I got into like hard rock and metal, Whitney Houston was one of my first favorite people, and American Psycho has ruined that forever.
I'll tell you, that. Hey, I jam out to Genesis and Phil Collins. I mean, all that music's awesome. I mean, it has a certain beat to it. I'm a metal guy, and of course that's my go-to, but I also listen to the other stuff. But we definitely in the future, when you do American Psycho, I want to be a part of that panel, because I really enjoyed the movie back in the day, and I just recently listened to the audiobook and I was like blown away out.
We might have to do a roundtable. Might have to do a roundtable.
Whatever you want to do. But as far as Carrie, I need to really go and read the book as well, because I would love to see how close they could get with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, one thing you'll notice, I hate to give away the
go ahead
here. Spoiler alert: in the book, Carrie burned down the whole damn town. In the movie, they couldn't afford to do that. So,
well, I mean, 1980 whatever budget, or 1976 budget. Yeah, you can't really do that. Yeah.
Before
Carrie burning down the town to Whitney Houston's "Didn't We Almost Have It All."
How did I know?
No.
They should have played Talking Heads "Burning Down the House."
That would have worked, man.
No,
well, Talking Heads wasn't out by then, though. I think they were in like 81.
Yeah, they were still in a garage somewhere trying to. One of them was still trying to learn how to play an instrument in 1976, probably.
Or they could end the movie with Freebird. That would have been interesting.
Like the Devil's Rejects.
Exactly.
Well, it's great that you brought up about the ending of the movie. What did you guys think of that jump scare ending at the end?
I liked it. I mean, it was good, but I think a lot of movies ripped that off after that. Like, the jump scare at the end. It became cliche after that, but that movie it worked. If I'd seen that for the first time,
well, a lot of people said that Steve Miner got that idea from Carrie about to do the jump at the end with little Jason jumping out of the water and pulling Adrian King.
Yeah,
a lot of people say he got that idea from Carrie.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah, I could too. No,
yes. All right. So, what are we guys gonna rate this on a scale of 0 to 5?
Carrie,
you want to go first, Mr. Guest?
Yeah, Carrie gets a solid 4 with me. That's a great film.
Yeah. Mr. Producer.
Yeah. I agree with Cyrus. I mean, a solid 4. It's especially if you've never seen it before. And I love when people get introduced to horror. That's like one of the movies that's a go-to. You know what I mean? Like it's very entertaining. It's very cool. Yeah, it's kind of dated with the hairstyles and it's kind of funny to look at now, but really the story, and I don't care how many times you try to remake it, you're not going to get the magic of what Brian De Palma did back in the 70s, late 70s with this movie. So solid 4.
They remade it. They put sequels on it. It's like,
that's enough. Like, we get it, and not to take anything away from actors and actresses that have done the whatever the remakes, and like you said, the sequel Carrie 2 or whatever.
Yeah, the Rage.
During that time, that was, if you remember, Mahoney, during that time, everybody was grasping at straws and doing like a remake or a part 2 to a movie that was already been made. You know what I mean? Like, long ago. So you had that, and you had all the they were just
anybody who knows me knows primarily 90% of remakes I hate. So there's a few like Dawn of the Dead remake I love. I actually do love the Amityville Horror remake. But most of the time I'm gonna say, remake, fuck that shit.
No, you know what? We'll save it for a future episode, like the top remakes. That would be a good episode. A good roundtable episode is the top remakes and I agree with that statement. That is the king of remakes is Dawn of the Dead. That's just fantastic. Like,
a shout out to our boys at Backwoods Horror who covered that already.
Yeah. Go ahead, Cyrus. What were you saying?
I said there have been some good reboots. No doubt about it. But then, like, for every good reboot, you have like 3 stinkers that came out. So you just kind of have to filter through it if you're a fan.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And like I said, no disrespect to these people are looking for jobs too. If you did a killing at one movie and you did like a sequel part 2 or whatever, you're going to make at least half of that back. You know what I mean? So I get it, but I guess some of your purists, I guess, in the horror fandom sort of separate the wheat from the chaff, I guess. Yeah.
I'm gonna repeat what both of you guys said. I'm gonna give it a 4 also. I just started watching this girl reactor. Her name is Cat Reacts to Horror Movies. She's never seen a horror movie in her life.
Oh, wow.
So people sent her all these suggestions, and the 5th one she did was Carrie. So Carrie's like you said, it's a good go-to. Like when you're introducing someone to horror, you have your Exorcist, you have the Omen, but Carrie is definitely up there in the top like 5 or 6. I would suggest to somebody to start with, because not only is it a good horror movie, like I said, it's a great revenge movie. So, and it teaches us a lesson about don't fuck with the person who's kind of odd.
They could have telekinetic powers.
Before we go on this Pet Sematary, do you guys pick Carrie or Tina from Friday the 13th Part 7 in a telekinetic fight?
Ooh, I gotta. That's close. I gotta go Carrie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a bikini. It's not a bikini contest.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tina would hold her own for a little bit, but I think in the end, yeah, Carrie would break out all those like flying knives and just like beat the shit out of you. So,
Yeah, pretty much.
so we're gonna head on to Pet Cemetery now. So while we're starting to talk about this, you want to see if we can find a trailer.
Already got it in the queue, buddy. So
Look at that! Look at my producer on it. Okay, here we go.
At the edge of the woods, behind the Creed's new house, is the old animal graveyard, the place where devoted pets are laid to rest.
Daddy, is church all right?
What is this place? I brought you here to bury Alan's cat.
I dreamed he got hit by a car and you and Mr. Kramer died.
Hi, Judd. I had my reasons. What did we do tonight, Judd? What we did, Lois, was a secret.
But some don't stay.
May the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you.
You're thinking thoughts best not thought of, Lois.
Daddy's gonna do something really bad.
That's why no one ever buried a human being out there.
You're thinking of putting him up there. Don't deny the thought hadn't crossed your mind.
And why nothing ever rests in peace.
If it doesn't work, I'll just put him back to sleep. Come back to me, Gage. Come back to us.
Paramount Pictures presents Stephen King's all-time best-selling tale of horror.
Gage?
First I play with Dad. Mommy came and I play with Mommy. We had an awful good time.
What did you do?
Pet Sematary.
Now I'm gonna play with you.
Man, if this is not the king of creepy kid movies,
No doubt.
what's so funny is in the first half of the movie when he's still alive, he's the cutest little thing ever. And then all of a sudden he goes from that cute kid to devil incarnate. Like wow. But before we talk about that, what were your first thoughts on Pet Sematary?
Great movie, man. It was a really great movie. The fact, like, I was kind of surprised to see Herman Munster.
Yeah,
Like, that's Herman Munster's back. All right. But no, I mean, that was that hit home because when you're a kid, I mean, we all lost a pet, you know.
Yeah.
And, yeah, I mean, that just had it was almost like that had the same, I guess, vibe as Salem's Lot or something. You know, it's just like creepy and like visceral, grab your soul because you can relate. You know, that was a creepy freaking movie.
Oh yeah, right from the get go, like when you first get and you talked about Fred Gwynn, that was perfect casting if you could ever cast anybody like as a nice next door neighbor, but also has like his dark secrets of his own. And when you get first introduced, you're like, oh my god, this is like the nicest guy. He saves Gage for the first time because Gage was getting a little too close to the road, and he gives that explanation because she's like, hey, what's over there? And he's like, I'll take you down there sometime, blah blah blah. But my biggest praise on this movie is the casting. Like literally everybody in this movie was cast perfectly. Dale Metcalf as the father, Denise Crosby, who I know from Star Trek Next Generation.
Yeah, she played great. Yeah.
She was Tasha Yar. And the best casting is a 3-year-old kid named Miko Hughes.
Yes.
And wow, just like for a 3-year-old kid, this kid pulls off his lines like nothing. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, he ends up becoming the natural. A lot of people forget that he was in Wes Craven's New Nightmare. He played Dylan.
Oh, he was. I didn't.
Yeah.
I totally didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
But the sister, whoever played the sister.
Oh God, yeah.
She did great too.
Yeah, I mean, and is she a vision of like your nightmares?
Oh yeah, like when she saw the guy Pascal,
yeah, Pascal, yeah.
Yeah, it's like she kind of added you're right, everybody added perfectly to that creep factor, even down to the damn cat.
Yes, even the cat. Yeah, I did some research. They had to use 8 different cats to play the cat, because I'm gonna save something for later about the name of the cat. So we all know his name is that one, but I'm gonna just do it right now, so I don't have to hold my tongue.
All right, go ahead.
All right, so we got trivia in. If anybody's in Twitter, YouTube, or Rumble, we have a trivia for you guys. So, what is the full name of the cat in Pet Sematary? Well, I'll do some Jeopardy music. So if anybody's watching on any of those 3 streaming networks, the count starts now. Do 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 do.
I'm gonna grab a beer and I'll be right back.
Do 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 do. Mr. Producer, if anybody answers within the next 10 seconds, let me know. Do 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 do. So, did we have any answers at any of the 3 streaming?
No, not yet. We have remember, it has a little bit of a delay. So
okay, so we'll talk about something else while people are catching up with that question. But so I did do some numbers. I guess I'll repeat them if Cyrus is back. Okay. So the budget for this film was I wrote it down 11.5 million, and it grossed just shy of $90 million.
Wow.
So hey, Father, real quick, we do have an answer. We have an answer.
Okay, so the answer is Winston Churchill. Was that the answer he gave?
Yep.
All right, Cyrus, you want to let them the winner know how to well, I'll let them know how to contact us. You can tell them what the prize is.
Yeah, is this the same Anthony Owens that's actually friends with me on Facebook? I will ask. And if it is, your prize, actually, we're going to do a giveaway. I'm going to give away one of my horror novels. I've got 2 different ones. That's a collection of short stories. One's called Bedtime Stories for the Terminally Afraid. The other is called Dark Places. Pick which one you want. I'm going to send you a free copy.
So you can, Anthony, you can comment inside the chat and let us know which one, and then you can leave a comment on this YouTube channel, or you can comment if you're on Twitter. You can comment on Twitter, and that'll go directly to the producer.
Yeah, so, and if you're on my Facebook, just DM me your address.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If you're friends, if whoever Anthony Edwards he's friends with, then contact Cyrus himself. So
ironic, somebody from my Facebook page gets that right. No, but you know what? No, I think I went to high school. I went to high school with him, so I'm not surprised that cat would know about probably a lot of trivia about these movies. Now, one of the thing about this, just to give you a quick trivia here, like again, nerd alert on this movie.
Okay.
You know, this is pretty. This book actually hit home for Stephen King because he got a job, actually working back at his old alma mater, and so he moved his family back there, and so he got this job and found a place to live, and there was a road right by his house. It was the only thing he didn't like. It was very dangerous, and there was a scene in his real life where his 2-year-old son, who actually wasn't quite 2 years old, ran toward the road when all these heavy trucks are going by. But Stephen King managed to grab his son before he got to the road. But it horrified him, and it horrified his wife. So he wrote this book and sort of kept that story from his wife, and really didn't want to publish it because he didn't want to, I guess, horrify his family, especially his wife, from a scene. And there was actually a pet cemetery because all these people's local pets were getting killed on that road. And it was really spelled Pet Sematary the way the movie is spelled. The book, the book title.
I had a question about the book. It's been a while since I read it, but you know how they talk about the pet cemetery, but where they bury all these people are actually the Indian burial ground. And is that how the book goes too, where they really get buried at the burial ground, or do they get really buried at the pet cemetery?
Burial ground in the book.
Okay. Yeah,
if I remember correctly, it's been like many years since I read this book, but I think that they took, because the guy that played the neighbor across the road didn't want the little girl to go through trauma of losing a pet.
Yeah, but in a way, it's still kind of his fault because he knew what was going to happen. He knew because of Spot, when Spot came back the same way.
Yeah,
and so I know it was like good intentions and everything, but obviously around anyone else, Church still seemed like he was already kind of a normal cat. He just didn't like the father anymore.
Right.
So I mean, I praise Judd for was worrying about the girl's feelings, but also he had to know something bad was going to happen because that's what happened to Spot. So.
The weird thing about when King wrote this book, in real life, he actually went over to his neighbor's house. In the book, it would have been Judd. He wrote that book at that guy's house because he did not want his wife, who would often read what he was reading it. Yeah. Korea. I mean, life imitating art. You know what I mean? Or art imitating life. It's
art imitating. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, that was. I'd be interested to know if any of the listeners knew this, or if, I mean, it'd be, or there maybe some other trivia people know about the movie and the book. But there's so much that went on in that era, and people didn't realize it until way after, when King would do interviews about things, like Needful Things or Cujo, like we talked about last time. Like he didn't really open up about that stuff until probably 4 or 5 years after the movie came out.
Yeah, it's so funny that he has one movie about the cat, and then he has the movie about the dog Cujo. So I wonder what other animals he had in mind for other. let's do a killer donkey movie.
And not for nothing, but one of the movies that pops in my head just on the fly here. I wonder what kind of weird things behind the scenes that he based Needful Things on. No, I mean that was an interesting book and interesting movie too.
Yeah, you never know. And how these guys get inspiration for things. It's also what about Misery? Was that something that he actually went through himself, being a book writer? Did he have a number one fan? But I mean, obviously they probably didn't capture him and break his ankles or anything. But did he have somebody that kind of inspired that book?
Yeah, I mean that character Annie was. There were so many great movies. Actually, while we were talking, when I closed the camera down here, I found out. I looked at one of these little facts about movies. There were over 100 Stephen King short stories and books
that were adapted to a movie,
some sort of screenplay, movie play, or whatever. Yeah, over 100. That's impressive. Wow.
That is. I mean, that tells you the influence he has in the horror genre too.
Yeah, and not just that, but culturally, because I know these days, modern days, he catches a lot of hell on Twitter from just for his political beliefs, because we're so in a weird place here,
Yeah.
And but the fact that it's everybody for every season there's for every time there's a season sort of thing, and he was right man, right place, right time during that era. and he's still writing some good things. I think his books are better probably now than they were 20 years, 30 years, 40 years ago. But yeah, I mean, just you talk about the right person at the right place at the right time that just latched on to the culture and where we were at as a nation and just as a people. And to be from like the Northeast and be able to scare people in Nebraska with like Children of the Corn, like that. I mean, that says a lot about the range of the guy's mentality and his writing acumen and his genius in a way. I don't know if that was like brought on by mescaline or acid, but it was brought on by something. But the guy really hit a cultural nerve, and like, good for him, man.
Well, the another thing about Pet Sematary is the infamous scene when obviously Gage loses control of the kite, and like I call Dale Metcalf the male scream queen, because that scream, I mean, yes, it's long, but it's so realistic too. Like imagine yourself as a father, and you just tried to save your kid, and you saw him run over by a big truck and right in front of your eyes. What would your reaction be? I think it'd be the same as his.
I mean, people watch it. I mean, we've seen thousands of movies.
Yeah.
And that is still a scene 30 some years later that still is in your head.
It grabs you. It grabs you because you feel so bad for this family. Like this sweet, loving kid who all he wanted to do was fly the kite because Ellie was hogging it, and then he finally gets his chance, and what happens? Obviously, they could have watched him better, but obviously, when you're having a good time and having fun, you're not always paying attention, and seeing that father try to run as fast as he could, and he loses his footing and watches his kid get killed, like, God, that just tears at your heartstrings. And I thought it was a great choice of characters to pick Stephen King as the priest, like who was doing remember he had at the like Stephen King must have liked this book to actually want to be part of the movie too. So, and
even though
like the casting was perfect for this, even down to Stephen King was perfect.
Yeah, even though he didn't want this book published because of afraid of his wife's reaction, this was still probably one of his better stories. I mean, the theme, like, there are several layers of theme in the story, and I mean, I know we're not going to get into all that stuff, but it's like there really are various layers of theme, and it's really fascinating. That I love when this guy goes in and does a cameo in his own movies. It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I think as a writer, like all of us that have written stuff like that, wish we could do a cameo in our own movie.
Yeah. I mean, obviously Alfred Hitchcock was the king of that.
Oh, yeah.
But I think Stephen King tried to do it to as much as he could, and if he really wanted to. Also, he was very choosy on what he wanted to be part of. But it was good that he liked this book enough where he said, "Hey, I think they're doing a great job with the movie, and I want to be part of it." So.
Yeah.
And who's going to say no to Stephen King? Who's going to say, like, oh, you can't be in your own book? Sorry.
Yeah. You know what? 5 years before that, maybe they could have. At that point, I mean, Hollywood was like, listen, when they saw a cash cow, they were milking every book for what it was. I mean, even Maximum Overdrive, which is what I love that movie. But, the fact that they made a movie, I think part of the movie that was so great was the fact that AC/DC was the movie. There was the music through the movie. And part of that was a big part of the success of that movie, or the coolness of that movie. But like before that, like they probably could have told him no. But at that point, like, man, he was whatever he churned out was like gold.
Well, speaking of movie, I mean music, they brought the Ramones back for this movie too.
I don't want to be buried.
Great
band, man.
Yeah, but the Ramones hadn't done a song in years. Like, I think the last song before this was like 82 or 83, and this
Yeah.
was 89. So it was kind of like even though it's not their best work, obviously, but it was cool to hear the Ramones again. And then, of course, the scene when the guy's leaving, and before he hits Gage, he's listening to Sheena is a punk rocker, and one of my favorite Ramones songs, by the way. So it was kind of like, oh, this is cool. The Ramones are part of this too. Like,
I mean, how can you go wrong? You throw a Ramones song on the soundtrack, dude. It's you got something cool. You know, when the Ramones came back out for the soundtrack, that movie was going to be a hit.
Yes. I mean, like I said, it may not be their best work. You know, it's more mainstream rock than punk, but you know, it still has that catchy, the catchy chorus, and you kind of find yourself singing along. I don't wanna be buried. It's like,
I know, like that was such a cool strategy back in the '80s. Like you would have because soundtracks were like the end all be all of movies, and you would have a hit video that would debut on MTV 2 weeks before the movie hit the theater, and it would be like on Dial MTV or whatever the MTV thing was at the time. They would have that would be one of the most requested videos, or one of the ones that would be like have the most airplay. Like Dawkins did the one for Nightmare on Elm Street, Dream Warrior. You know, that was so cool. But yeah, when Pet Sematary came out, it's like, wow, man, you drug the Ramones out. Like if they're coming back to do a song because they think a movie's cool, I'm buying a ticket. You know,
cool. Music and movies reminded me of when Mr. Producer did a show with me with Nightmare on Elm Street. We were talking about the Fat Boys that did a video about with Freddy Krueger.
You know, it'll be a fun show if you guys ever want to come on Gonzo or do a Gonzo with me or whatever. Let's do some of the best soundtracks, top 10 soundtracks of all time.
Okay, that sounds good.
I've talked about so many different soundtracks on some of my stuff, but man, I think that's what's missing in movies today. You don't have soundtracks.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to hear Cardi B or whoever WAP for a soundtrack. I want to hear some good freaking music. You know. I want to hear something that would melt the Super Bowl down at halftime, not some of this BS we have to deal with now. But yeah, man, I'd love to do a show like that. There have been so many great soundtracks, and then the '90s that was like the last gasp of decent soundtracks. Like,
oh yeah, I agree.
Like 97, 98, like when Scream 2 came out, and then you had maybe like I don't know what was that one movie. The Faculty, remember that?
The Faculty, yeah.
That was when they had the remake of the another brick in the wall. Those were some of the last gasps of good soundtracks.
Yeah,
and I don't think we have a decent one since. But man, can you imagine what the Carrie soundtrack would have been if they'd had those back then?
I know, huh? They could have played "Fire Down Below" by Bob Seger.
That could have been. How about Jailbreak by AC/DC, man? When they're coming out of the gym at the end, it's like Jailbreak, and she comes walking out. That would have been decent. But yeah, I mean, there's so many songs that could have been like classic for some of these Stephen King films that we talked about. Like I don't know, but
there's one thing we didn't talk about with Pet Sematary is after obviously Gage comes back and kills the mother. You know, you would think by the third time that Lewis would have learned his lesson. First, he has a possessed cat. Then he has a killer kid. And now what's he want to do? Let's bury the wife. This time I'll do it faster, he says. He's like, I waited too long with Gage. Rachel just died. She'll be all right.
All right, listen, man. I'm going to throw this out here. This is the cage fight the world deserves. Chucky versus Gage. The Octagon. Get him in there. If they still did that celebrity cage fight thing, that's what I want to see.
Hey, if Morgan Wellborn is watching, Morgan, work on that next. Chucky versus Gage.
And Baby Yoda versus Baby Groot. The world deserves this stuff, dude.
Oh my God.
We deserve it. We deserve it. Chucky versus Gage. That would be a fight. That'd be no
But
fair.
like,
No fair.
yeah, no fair. I love that. In that sadistic laugh.
Yeah, Queen Malvolia, if you're still watching.
Yes.
I want Chucky versus Gage. That'd be awesome.
You could be like the narrator.
Oh yeah. She could be the guest referee in that. Oh man. But
we learn about what happens when you bury a person from Jed's story about the old man who did it years before that. And so what does he do? He repeats history thinking it's going to be different. And of course they end with it's a murder off screen, but you end with that cool yell. So Dale Metcalf, you are the Scream King, my friend.
You know what? I'm gonna throw this out here. This is like one of those rarest of like movie and trivia things. I just thought of this early in the movie, right? Pet Sematary.
Okay.
And Judd was talking. He refers to a Saint Bernard who went rabid downstate a couple of years ago and killed 4 people. Do you ever notice how Stephen King like comes full circle in novels?
Yeah, that's right. He does.
Yeah, I try to do that once in a while. I totally stole this from Stephen King. I try to do that sometimes in short stories. Like and like they're not even connected, but they're so connected. You know what I mean?
Well, the thing I love about King is he can write other things besides horror. Stand By Me, fantastic movie.
One of my favorite. Like me and my sister Tammy, that's like our movie.
Yeah. I mean, R.I.P. to River Phoenix, by the way, because River Phoenix was an amazing child actor.
Yeah, and then of course you had what was the one the prison there with the guy?
Shawshank.
The Green Mile.
The Green Mile, yeah. The Green Mile.
Yeah, Shawshank too. Yeah, the guy that if you could write in more, honestly, I mean, as a writer, it's tough to write in multiple genres, and I've done it. But it took me 20 years to figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
And the fact that he did it, I mean, he's a goat in the business.
And I'll go on record right now. Shawshank Redemption is my favorite movie of all time. I will say that right now.
Hands down, really. Okay.
Yep.
Now I'll ask you this, like, because we talk about all these movies that are based on books. Do you have a favorite book of all time?
Oh God.
And it doesn't have to be horror, but just anything. And the same to the producer, man. Do you have?
I think it's because when I was a child, I really attached myself to these characters. But it was S.E. Hinton, The Outsiders.
Oh, great book! Great book.
Yes.
How about
I totally related to Ponyboy. Like as a kid, I was that.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a rebel, but I was a shy kid, and so like I totally related to his character. And then when the movie came out, I obviously I was like first in line to see the movie, and the movie did justice, but I think they could have done more. And if you ever watched the TV version of The Outsiders, it actually is a little bit better than the release. The TV movie when they would show it on regular TV, it was like an extra 15 to 17 minutes.
I could actually see you, Ponyboy, because I can actually see you saying that because like knowing you for like a while that you've promoted a lot of indie horror and stuff like that. I can totally see you loving that character.
Yeah.
How about our producer? Any favorite book?
What is my favorite book?
Yeah. Doesn't have to be horror.
What was that?
I said, or character from The Outsiders.
Well, yeah. There's always that. Hey, if you want to go hardcore, man, you're from Texas, just go Red Dawn.
Yeah. Let's go Red Dawn. Wolverines. Man, my favorite book. You caught me off guard here. I'm not sure.
Well, Geraldine's around. Ask her what her favorite book is.
Okay, I'll ask her. Yeah, she's smarter than me anyway. So
I'd say if I have to go horror, this is a very long book. It's a very long read, but it's called Summer of Night. That's an incredible book if you've never read it. Book of all time, The Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald. Just so many themes and like human elements that run through that. I mean, you even have a murder at the end, right? A couple of murders in the book. I mean, it's, I don't know. Set in a different era, different time, different space.
Oh, yeah. Back in the freaking 20s, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's 1925 when that thing came out. But it engulfs like a unique time in America that I think was like a great time in America. You know, but I don't know. That's just me. But yeah, Summer of Night. If anybody's a horror fan and you want to sit and read through that much, hey, go ahead. Great book. Cormac, anything by Cormac McCarthy is good too.
I got my favorite book. It's called If I Did It by O.J. Simpson. That is Page Turner.
Did you read the follow-up? I totally did it.
Yeah.
O.J. Simpson.
I totally did this, and no one has come to arrest me. This is great.
Did you hear that supposedly he had a relationship with Kris Jenner?
Oh,
and that Khloe Kardashian's really his daughter.
No, and that not to get all crazy with it, but yeah, I heard that like he was part of like they were like swingers and stuff.
Yeah,
a little bit of what happened to Bruce Jenner.
Yeah, well, her name was Chris something at the time. She wasn't a Jenner yet, but what about Caitlyn Jenner?
Well, I always ask this question when Bruce became Caitlyn. Does Caitlyn get to keep Bruce's awards?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. But Bruce won them. Caitlyn didn't win them.
But also, that's weird because she gets to keep Bruce's awards, but she won't get his charge of accidentally wrecking into someone and killing someone. That's
true.
That happened.
There's always give and take, yin and yang.
I
mean, we all can't be Howard Cosell sitting on the set with O.J. Simpson and
this is Howard Cosell bringing you the sports world of America.
Oh my God, that's classic.
O.J. Simpson did it.
Oh, the times we live in, brothers. Hey, but no, this is my second time on the show, me and Rob. I appreciate it. Rob Mahoney, Father Mahoney, God's gift to women. Thanks for having me on. Thanks. And Poe, appreciate it.
Before you leave, I'd like to extend an invite to our new me and Joey T got our conspiracy podcast. We just did the first episode, so love to have you on the show sometime.
Do you think that the Jack the Ripper came to America and was actually the first American serial killer in Chicago?
I think so. I think so. There's a lot of cool stuff that we could get into it. But
you read Devil in the White City. You look at what happened at Whitechapel.
Yeah,
a lot of similarities.
Oh my God!
The reason Scotland Yard came over here on the boat to investigate.
I'm telling you, if you ever want to make that show at the three podcasters, this is your guy right here.
I know.
That's awesome. And I love your intro, Rob. Poe, you do a great job as producer. I love how the cool intro to Rob's show. Yeah, Father.
Before you leave, quickly, what was your rating? Before you leave, what was your rating for Pet Sematary?
4. I give Pet Sematary a strong 4.
Okay. I'll give it a 4 also.
Great film.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. These movies, I would love to give it like a straight 5, but there's just certain things about, you know what I mean? Like you can't really give it a perfect rating.
Yeah, not a 5 on anything.
Not really. It's kind of like, it's good, but then there's some things they could have done different. But for it as a whole, like 4 is just perfect.
Well, let me ask you guys this. This is a tough question.
Okay.
But we give 4s to like great films or 3.5 or whatever, because we always have something we compare it to. What is your 5 in the horror genre? What actually gets a 5? Or like in a book in the realm of books, when I go to Amazon, like, man, I don't give a 5 to anything but one book, and that's Gatsby. So what, or that Gatsby and Cannery Row by Steinbeck. What actually comes close to hitting those themes? What's a 5 in your world?
Yeah,
I would say The Exorcist for me.
dude. I was gonna say that. No, yeah, Exorcist totally number 5. That gets a total 5 right there.
Here I'm gonna throw a little like a writer's prompt challenge, but like a horror movie fan challenge. Okay. If you have Netflix, go check out The Pope's Exorcist.
I already seen it.
How does it compare?
Pope's Exorcist is the closest Exorcist movie to The Exorcist.
He did tell me that after he saw it.
Yeah, that was intense.
Yeah. The only other one that comes close to either one is like my third favorite Exorcist movie would be The Conjuring. I really like The Conjuring a lot. I like the actors. The acting was top notch. The scare scenes were great. Now the other two Conjurings were still good, but they weren't on that level.
What would you give Poltergeist? The 80s version. That's got to be.
That would be a close 5, but there's a few scenes that drag for me. But I would say a good 4.75. That would be.
I'm like 4.5 on that one, because that was, even though it's not nearly as scary as The Exorcist, it's very different. And but man, there's very few films hit that.
Jaws is another 5.
Yeah, Jaws.
I think if it's gonna hit that 5 mark, it has to have some sort of impact to where it still rings true now. Like if I go into the ocean, I'm gonna think, as soon as I see the ocean, I think of Jaws. Like that movie just, and for someone to be possessed by a demon, like The Exorcist and everything, it was so well done. Like it sticks with you. These movies that stay with you and they have staying power, I guess, are the ones that
good wording, staying power. Yes.
Yeah.
Those are the 5s.
And that's the problem with like trying to judge a new movie, because it has to have staying power. Like I want to like, if a new movie comes out, it could be killer, it could be great, but I want to wait 20 years and I'm going to go look and see. Yeah. I'm like Siskel and Ebert for some reason. I'm not even a good movie.
Well, here's another 5 for me. Okay. It was, I think it was 2007, The Descent.
Yeah.
The Descent it scares you on 2 levels. It scares you as there's creatures at the bottom, but it also has that you're closed in. So anyone who's claustrophobic, that movie scared the fucking crap out of me, because I'm claustrophobic. So those close in scenes, I was like literally like holding my seat.
Yeah, it's been around long enough to get some chops, don't you think?
I will give another 5. I got another 5. It's the first Saw. That's a 5. When you have an ending like that, and you are so invested in the film, and then the ending hits, my God, I dare anybody. Any movie that gets me to have a reaction outside, like it took me into the movie at that. That whole movie I was watching.
Yeah, that part where the guy is alive and it shocks you. You're like, what the fuck?
I got out of my chair and I was like, what the fuck? Go ahead.
When it comes to vampire movies, do you guys not, like, when you see a new vampire movie, do you not immediately think, how does this compare to Salem's Lot or a Hammer film?
Yes,
because I'm a big Christopher Lee guy. So like, and I think the Backwoods Horror guys talked about Renfield recently on their show, and I went to see Renfield, even though it's primarily a comedy, but there are some horror factors in there, and they do pay homage to Christopher Lee. Yeah. So I really thought that was nicely done, because not a lot of newer movies will pay homage to something that was from the 60s.
The only thing I think that's been different in horror in a long time that still like pays homage to itself or something else has been the Evil Dead series.
Yeah.
That's very, and the newer ones are very visceral, and that's very different than the originals. But like when I watch a like I love, like you talked about earlier, like Rob, at the very start of the show, you mentioned werewolf stuff, right? So
Yeah.
if you look at Wolf with Jack Nicholson, like great film, great story, but like immediately I start thinking American Werewolf in
Werewolf in London.
and Lon Chaney and how do
Yeah.
they, you know what I mean? And that's like one that would do it, but I've not seen even like the Underworld stuff. Very different, very good, very entertaining.
Yeah, but the CG, a lot of CGI.
Yeah, it wasn't the same.
Yeah.
And I don't think you need great CGI to tell a good story or make a great movie, because it's more the story.
Yeah.
You know, but I don't think anybody's going to recreate what they did in American Werewolf in London, because that was just crazy.
Here's another werewolf thing that was back in the 80s. Thriller.
That was a great video of Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
And the
That transformation scene is so well done. It's yeah.
Like even the movie The Howling and that whole series, they never did anything that good. But it was still a good series. I mean, it's entertaining, but again, it wasn't American Werewolf in London. Or
here's another one from the 80s, Bad Moon.
Yep.
Bad Moon was a great movie for
Was it 80s or 90s? I think it
might have been early 90s, actually. I think it was.
Yeah, like 91, 92. It was
Bad Moon
I graduated high school. Yeah.
You know what's funny is you mentioned that, and a lot of people don't know what that is. A lot of people don't. It's very overlooked. And I mean, that werewolf, dude, come on. That werewolf freaked me out when I first saw it. I was like, holy shit. Like that was
Yeah. But just a quick reminder, Anthony, drop me your email or your mail address, and I'll drop one of those books out in the mail to you. And hopefully, if you like it, go to Amazon, leave me a comment. If it sucks, just don't tell anybody. I'd appreciate
that. Do you want to promote anything before you have to leave, my friend?
If you, I do have a thing, CyrusAlderwood.substack.com. Okay. And I write just various different things. I'm doing a thing called the Writer's Prompt Challenge. Every week I'm writing a short story or pseudo short story. And most of the time I'll put them out there for free for people to read. Some of them I'm going to turn into a short story compilation. But you can subscribe to it. It's free. If you want to be a paid subscriber, you get some things that I lock that's only for paid subscribers. It's $5 a month, nothing big. Gonzo Chronicles Podcast. That's free also. I don't do any Patreon or anything like that. So I just enjoy it, and I pay that. And if you like if you like what you hear, like what you see, jump on Amazon and pick up something from Cyrus Alderwood on Amazon. A lot of people know me by my real name on Facebook. I got hacked on my pen name on Facebook, but anyway, so check out the podcast, check out the Substack, check out the books. Have a great time. Like I said, if it's good, leave a comment. That certainly helps me out. If it sucks, don't tell anybody.
I'm going to give a big shout out to Evil X, who does the song in my my podcast called Dead Eyes. Check them out on Spotify. So and that's all free. So they also have like a playlist too. So if they'll put stuff that they listen to, and it's if you like hardcore metal, these guys are for you. Also want to give a big plug to our buddies over at the Backwoods Horror Show. They're coming back Monday, I believe. So Travis and Mr. Cody Robinson will be back and trying to outdo me in horror. But I love those guys. Those guys are amazing. And we have a brew crew this week, correct?
Yeah, Sunday morning, 9 a.m. Central. Another brew crew join me, and the guys. We're just gonna kind of cover everything that's going on with all of our buddy shows and kind of talk about what happened through the week. So it's gonna be fun. It'll be a fun morning show.
And what about the near do wells? Is that supposed to be this Tuesday also?
We will be back next Tuesday. So we'll be live at the tavern. So join in on the fun on that.
So you can kick Tyree Lee in the knee for me.
Okay. Why am I going to do that? I can't kick him in the knee. He did a nasty spell.
Okay, yeah, they kick him in the. I don't know. Well, you can't. You're not like Bruce Lee. You can't kick him in the face.
No, I'll hurt myself.
Okay, just give him a smack in the back for me. There you go.
And then, of course, follow us. We got Jack Transmission going, our conspiracy theory podcast with me and Joey T.
Is that supposed to be Walter White, like the character?
Yeah. We cook meth and talk conspiracy.
You say you're making meth on the air. That's great. That's awesome.
Coming soon, we have a real methologist coming through.
And you want to just add a little bit of campfire fuel when it's or whatever.
Before we go, let's plug some of our buddies who are doing big stuff in the indie scene. We'll start with Mr. Morgan Wellborn. Morgan's still working on the Hellbira Haunted Asylum of Horror. And Ken Ace Brewer, he's still working on Zombie Rage?
Zombie Rage, you can get Zombie Rage already out.
Okay, cool.
We'll share it where you can purchase the Blu-ray. October's around the corner. I'm betting that he will premiere it on the B Movie TV channel sometime around there. So, but if you want the Blu-ray and want a poster and all that, it's available on their store. We'll go ahead and share that. But yeah, it's already been made. It's done. Right now, they're in the middle of making another movie, Death Bitch, which is going to be pretty cool. It's like a action revenge type film. So it's going to be pretty cool.
Nice. And October 4th, by the way, guys, they're showing the 50th anniversary of The Exorcist at some movie theaters. Go check out online to see where they're playing it in your area. That's my birthday, by the way, so I will be at the theater watching The Exorcist. So.
There you go.
And before I go, I just want to give one more tribute out. Control the pet population by getting your pets spayed and neutered. R.I.P. Bob Barker. Hey, guys, have a great day, and we'll see you in about 2 weeks, guys. I got something big lined up, but I'll let you guys know soon.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Appreciate it.
All right.
Amazing!